Hello and welcome to day 27 of my 31 Days of Horror. I'm Joey Hollywood, and I'm coming back at you with two movies. Today I watched both The Woman in Black and The Woman in Black 2. The first movie stars Daniel Radcliffe, and from what I've seen it's mainly known for that fact. It's the movie that stars Harry Potter in a non-Harry Potter role. I decided to review this one because, if you recall, earlier in the month I said I wanted to do a Hammer ghost story and I couldn't find one. I completely forgot that I owned this movie. That's not to suggest it's a bad movie or anything, I just forgot I own it. I think this is a fine movie. I think it is a very flawed movie, but its flaws don't make up the rest of the movie. My biggest complaint is that the musical cues are a little too obnoxious really early on. It'll have big stings when like little things are happening, and I don't mind that so much when it's in the middle part of the film when Daniel Radcliffe's character has to stay overnight, because I feel it's very fitting there and it's perfect there. It's done very well. But when it's just little things like birds slapping against windows or cats running around, it feels like it's too much. It honestly feels like it wasn't meant to be there, but it was added in later to compete with the Insidious movies, which are very obnoxious in their score, but I kind of like it in those films. I love the ending to this film. It ends perfectly. The story revolves around a woman in black, a ghost, that is killing all the little children in the town, but she only does this when someone sees her. And this poses a problem because Daniel Radcliffe has to go to her house in order to file some paperwork. And of course he sees her and children start dying. I think this is one of the best modern Hammer movies to date. I've seen a lot of the other revival Hammer movies like Let Me In, Wake Woods, and The Resident, and I wasn't too crazy about them, but this is one I really like, and I think it's really worthy of the Hammer label. Now we're going to talk about The Woman in Black 2, Angel of Death. Now I didn't quite know what to expect with this. I hadn't heard really anything about it, and I kind of took that as a bad omen, and I was wrong. I think this was every bit as good as the first one, although I do think the ending of this one is far weaker than the first one. The ending to the first movie, you can't compete with that. But this not only translates a lot of the things that worked in the original and made them either just as good or better, it also took the problems with the original and fixed them. The biggest problem being the obnoxious score and how inappropriately it was used. In this sequel, the music is calm until it needs not to be, and I really appreciated that. I also like the backdrop to this movie. The first movie took place in the late 1800s. This movie takes place during World War II, more specifically around the time of the London Blitz. It's about a woman who takes a bunch of children away from London to avoid the Blitz into the house where the woman in black lives. And, you know, she likes killing children, and, well, they just brought the children into the lion's den. The woman in black seems to have a different set of goals this time around, and I like that. I like that we're not seeing the same movie over again. It definitely feels like an elevation, a progression in story without feeling redundant. And, you know, I really liked this movie a lot. I'd say it's just as good or better than the first one. Again, it has its flaws, but one thing I want to point out is you could watch this movie as a sequel or as a standalone film. Even though it does kind of progress things a little bit and it is somewhat dependent on the first movie, you could see this movie not knowing it's a sequel and not feel like you lost anything. And I'm not saying that they go and reiterate the entire backstory of the Woman in Black like they did in the first movie. Like the first movie, that was like the main story, was figuring out what happened. This one, it's covered in like a minute, and it's done in a very believable and convincing way. And it doesn't hold on it too long because that's not the plot. That's not what this story is about. This story is about something else. Well, I think that's it for now. Thank you for watching. I'm Joey Hollywood, and I'll see you tomorrow in day 28 of my 31 Days of Horror.